Hey guys, I'm joined by my friend Matt Kelly, or Pierre Chesterfield, or what do you call yourself now?
Jim Moons.
Jim Moons, that's her name now. And we're doing a movie review. The movie we want to review is the 2023 superhero film, The Flash. Now, The Flash was directed by Andy Muschietti, who, prior to this, directed the 2017 adaptation of Stephen King's It, as well as its sequel, It Chapter 2. The film is based on the DC Comics character created by Robert Kanigher and Carmine Infantino, and also features the character of Batman, originally created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger, and features characters from the Superman mythos created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Now, the movie does take some elements from the comic book storyline Flashpoint by Jeff Johns, as well as some elements from Marv Wolfman's Crisis on Infinite Earths, and some subtle elements from Mark Millar's Red Son. This is the 13th film of the DC Extended Universe, which is a series of films all based on DC Comics and all set within the same continuity. This series started in 2013 with the Superman film Man of Steel and acts as a quasi-sequel to that film, as well as a quasi-sequel to the 1989 Tim Burton Batman film. Now, the film features Barry Allen, or The Flash, who was introduced a few movies prior to this, a man who could run at lightning-fast speed. Now, before Barry gained his powers and became a superhero, his father was arrested for supposedly murdering his mother, something that he believes his father did not do, and for several years he has been desperately trying to prove his father's innocence. Now, he's previously discovered that he could use his powers to travel backwards in time, and he decides to use this to prevent his mother's murder, something that his friend Batman warns him against. And upon trying to return to the present, he encounters a mysterious figure that literally pushes him into the year 2013, but specifically the 2013 of an alternate universe. Upon entering this alternate timeline, Barry discovers that his mother is still alive, but he also meets an alternate version of himself. Now, in the timeline that Barry originally came from, 2013 was the year that humanity discovered that aliens and metahumans existed, for this was the year that General Zod invaded Earth, but in Barry's timeline, Superman saved Earth from Zod. So, it being 2013, General Zod invades the Earth. The trouble is, it does not appear that Clark Kent exists in this timeline, nor do any of the members of the Justice League seem to exist in this timeline, with the exception of Batman. But as Barry and his alternate universe counterpart discover, this is not the Batman that he knows. This is where it's revealed that this universe might be the universe that the Tim Burton Batman movies took place in. So now the two Barrys and this alternate universe version of Batman must race against time to try to save this version of Earth from Zod, but they soon discover that there is indeed a Kryptonian being held on Earth at a compound in Russia. But this is not Calle, this is a female Kryptonian named Kara Zor-El. After rescuing Kara, she goes to confront Zod, and as Barry continues to mess with the time-space continuum, it turns out he may have started a chain reaction that could destroy the multiverse. And just letting you know, there will be spoilers galore in this video. So Matt, what did you think of The Flash?
Honestly, I just think that, I didn't really, I don't know, I saw it, and then, like, when I was in the theater and seeing it when it came out, I was just kind of like, damn, this is it, huh? And, like, you know, the more the movie went on, and I just noticed, I don't know, in, like, the first 10 minutes of the movie, like, you know, all this, you know, they kind of show you his character, and, like, the humor is a little imbalanced between, like, what they're trying to do. You know, the tonality in certain scenes is a little off and, like, different with other, like, there's the humor, like, just buried throughout this movie, just, like, thrown in, the CGI, I mean,
The CGI is horrifying.
Yeah,
in
the
this
CGI
movie.
is like it looked like a 2003 PS2 game or something. Like they could have, and this movie cost like a little over like $200 million to make or something like that, or and it's been having all these production. Honestly, I mean, Michael Keaton's essentially like the best part of this entire movie. I mean, he's kind of like, I think he's like, if he wasn't in the movie, or if Batman wasn't in the movie, nobody really would see it. I don't think it would have been worse. It's like almost like Keaton kind of just carried this movie.
Yeah, I would say that. When I saw this movie, I'll be honest, at this point, I've kind of given up hope on the whole DCEU. And keep in mind, I liked some of these movies. Like, I liked Man of Steel, I liked Shazam, I liked the first Wonder Woman movie, I loved The Suicide Squad, but overall, especially because even before this came out, it was kind of common knowledge that they were planning on rebooting it. I was just kind of like, what's the fucking point anymore? And the two reasons I saw this movie, Michael Keaton as Batman, I wanted to see him as Batman again, and I'm not going to front the actress playing Supergirl. I kind of wanted to see more of that. And I actually liked her in the movie, too.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, like the writing was just off, and like, I don't know, like they just didn't, Ezra Miller is apparently like a fucking psychopath, and like, if there's all these, like, you can look it up, I don't think we need to say much about what he was. I mean, you could look it up. There's so much. There's a library of.
Yeah, and I think because of the whole Ezra Miller thing, this was like on the shelf for like a year, right? Because this was supposed to come out in like 2022, I think.
Yeah, and it just kept getting pushed back.
And wasn't there a point where DC was thinking of not even releasing it at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like they already put too much money into it, and now they're canceling. Warner Brothers in general nowadays is in a lot of hot water because they keep canceling movies, and it can't. Yeah,
isn't there a whole Batgirl movie that's never going to be seen?
Yeah, and then there's like, they just cancel. They on the last year's Academy Awards, they celebrated 100 years after 2 weeks before they cancel. They cut all these like film workers and stuff, jobs, and shut down half their animation department. I don't know. As the movie went on, it kind of gave me a headache just because like the CGI was just so awful, and the comedy is kind of just like forced, and like Ezra Miller's kind of like, I mean, I guess like they directed him or them okay, like for like what the character, like the humor. I don't know, like his,
honestly, his performance, and let's leave out, the actual person for a second, like, his performance is frustrating because there are moments where I think he's very good in this movie, and there's things I like about this movie, but, like, I wanted to murder the alternate universe version of Barry, and I get the point was that he was supposed to be annoying, but...
He was supposed to be, like, not who he was supposed to be. Yeah, like, he wasn't hated,
Because I think what they're trying to go for is, since this version of the character, his mother never died, so he never really grew up, whereas the Barry from the main timeline was kind of forced to grow up. I think that's what they're going for, but they could have toned it down a little bit. I mean, I'll say this, I liked the movie overall, watching it. I liked it better, I should say, watching it a second time. I really hated it watching the first time. Watching it a second time, I don't think it's a great movie, but again, there are little things I do like about this. I think, especially at the end, there are some really emotional scenes, but yeah, overall, the movie is just kind of a clusterfuck.
Yeah, Keaton's essentially like, just like, I don't know, he's kind of like he kind of just held the movie together, like Batman, like part of me when I was watching this movie, part of me thought like, they could have just made like an older Batman movie with Keaton, and it would have probably made more money. It probably would have been better and liked more, Or
even like, okay, they're doing the whole multiverse thing to kind of tie in the old Tim Burton Batman movie in with the DCEU. But I think they could have done more with that. I would have liked to have seen like maybe, and I know people disagree with me. I'm sure you're going to disagree with me because the Nolan films are so tonally different, but I would have liked to have seen at least, like, a brief moment where Barry sees into the universe that the Nolan films take place in, or gets a glimpse into the Joker universe, or the universe of the Matt Reeves Batman movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would have been cool.
Well, apparently, I heard before this movie was coming out, I heard that, like, there was supposed to be, I mean, I think this was, like, before they announced that they were rebooting. I think it was, like, announced before James Gunn was even, like, announced as like the CEO of like DC and Warner, but whatever he's doing, you know, he's like the producer for the next DCU reboot. But like, it's just I don't know. There was rumors that like they were gonna set Robert Pattinson's Batman up for like, but it just doesn't have. They cut out a lot of stuff. You know, like they apparently this movie done a lot of reshoots, so it's hard to really say like what was like originally in. There's some decent references to the Tim Burton's Batman, which is cool. I mean, it's cool to see. Like, there's like that little Joker bag.
Yeah,
the first one. That was kind of funny.
I mean, you do have Batman saying, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts," which I didn't really care for because it's like kind of makes no sense why he would fucking say it in that scene, and it felt like, oh no, we have to say it because that's like one of the most famous lines from the Tim Burton film, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like, and again, he was, him and the actress playing Supergirl, who I did like in the movie, they were probably the best things about the film. And Michael Shannon. Michael
Shannon's good, yeah, but he was, like, I forgot, actually, I mean, I feel like he was kind of just, like, he was good, everybody was good, but, like, it just seemed like the whole production was just scattered, you know, oh, quick, throw that in, you know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the visual effect, it's just like, God damn, like, I was excited to see what they were going to do with Michael Keaton. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I guess people got what they came for because they wanted to see Keaton. Like, it's a Flash movie, but people came to see Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben Affleck, his Batman shows up for a few scenes. The Justice League shows. It's just the way the whole shit with the Justice League and like where they're in the beginning where they're saving. You know, he's like complaining to Alfred about like how he wants to do bigger things with the Justice League. It's like it just felt like they were just like a parody of like the DC characters. It just felt like that whole scene with like Wonder Woman, like Batman and accidentally touch.
Yeah, they get
the lasso of truth or whatever.
Mm-hmm, like, and Batman's like, my ego's too big.
Yeah, like all this. I guess it could have been funnier if they didn't, but I don't know. It just felt like very like tonally off. Like it was just.
Well, since we're giving away spoilers, what did you think of the fucking George Clooney cameo at the end?
I just had more.
More. Yeah.
It was kind of like, I guess it was humorous. Just like could have like.
And again, there could have been a lot more. Like, I mean, I would have liked to have seen this movie be almost like the Spider-Man No Way Home of Batman, you know, like, even though we're talking more about Batman, even though the film is called The Flash, but, you know, like...
But it's like, really, that's like really the attraction, he was essentially the main attraction. I feel like they knew this, I don't know, part of me thinks they knew this movie was going to, like, bomb or like, just not be as well received, so they just had to do something to like for like nostalgia, cash grabs, and that's the thing. It's just kind of nostalgia can only get you so far.
Yeah,
like, you know.
I mean, I watched some of the behind the scenes stuff, and you could tell Michael Keaton really enjoyed playing Batman again.
Oh yeah,
and that's cool. You know, I mean, he is a great Batman.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. It's just sad.
What did you think of at the end where? We get glimpses into the universe that the George Reeves Superman show took place in, and then we get a glimpse into the Richard Donner Superman universe.
I mean, I just thought that it all was just CGI'd in. It was just kind of like Nicolas Cage Superman. That was kind of. I mean, I feel like some people, if you don't know about like that attempt at them trying to make that movie, like then you won't know about it.
Yeah.
So like it's one of those things. Like
it was something that was basically only there for the hardcore nerds.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that, but again, it's like, I could see like a casual moviegoer going, the fuck?
What isn't it? Yeah. Because I don't think a lot of people would realize that Nicolas Cage was going to be Superman at one point. But,
yeah. And they could have done so much more with, like, even, like, the Flash character, because, keep in mind, not that long ago, we had a Flash TV series, and it wasn't Ezra Miller, it was another person playing that character, but they could have done stuff where he meets that version of himself, or, like, I know there was a Flash series in the 90s, they could have, like, done stuff with that, you know, or...
Yeah.
Or even, like, you know, playing into, like, if we're paying tribute to, like, DC Comics in general, I'm a huge fan of the John Constantine character, and I think it would have been pretty funny if, like, you had, like, a brief appearance of the Constantine from the TV series fighting a demon or something, and then all of a sudden a dimensional gateway opens up, and then he sees the version of Constantine played by Keanu Reeves, you know, like, they could have done so much more, like, pulling in references to the DC universe. Before we continue on, here's our friend John giving his thoughts on 2023's The Flash.
I saw this in the movie theaters last year when this movie came out. It was fun and exciting to see Michael Keaton playing Batman again. I didn't hate or love it. I thought it was alright. To me, this movie was nothing special. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't kept up with superhero movies in the last 4 years, with some exceptions like Robert Pattinson's Batman movie. In general, I love comic books, but in the last few years, they have oversaturated cinematic universe comic book movies, and it's a big overload of a lot of characters that I'm not familiar with. This was a movie I was 50-50 on. Parts of it I liked, other parts just annoyed me, had my head spinning, a little cringe. In the fight scenes, you can tell it was not Michael Keaton doing the fight choreographs because he's older. Michael Keaton obviously is not doing any stunts at this point in his acting career for sure. Ezra Miller was alright as the Flash. I'll admit, I don't know much or have not paid much attention to him as an actor. Yes, I'm aware about his problems, but I'm not talking about that in this recording. He does a good job as the Flash. I only read random Flash comic books, and I did watch the 90s Flash TV show that I have on DVD, and I did watch the 2000s Justice League cartoon. I've never seen an episode of the Flash TV show that came out in the last decade. My complaint and grind with this movie is the CGI was god-awful. I get they were paying tribute to Christopher Reeve's Superman, but I hate that they used CGI. Also, why the heck did they use Nicolas Cage's Superman cameo for a movie that was never made? But again, like I said before, the CGI was god-awful in this movie and horrible. I can agree with fans that this movie is basically a poor man's version of Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. My advice and recommendation, read that comic book and watch the 2013 animated movie. For my ratings for this movie, I give this movie a 7 out of 10. It was half decent. I'm in no rush to rewatch it or own it on Blu-ray anytime soon. This movie did not blow my mind away.
I think the film's biggest problem is it's so lackluster.
Yeah.
And you feel like this movie should be more of a monumental event.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly, like, it kind of just made me think that, like, I'm sure in, like, 10, 15 years, they'll probably make another Flash movie with some other person, director, you know. I feel like we're in an age where, like, all these superhero movies, they're still making a Batman 2 with Robert Pattinson. So there's going to be, like, different takes on, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sort of getting. I don't know. DC, like, they're already making another Superman movie. I don't even know who's going to be some random actor. You know, I don't know what that's like. Where superhero movies are just going to, like, keep repeating itself in a way. Because I feel like that's, like, the thing with comic. Like, there's different timelines and one shot comic. You know, like, different takes and you know, new timelines and stuff. They've been doing that for a while. You know.
Yeah.
With the Flash, it was just like. It just seemed like this whole production was just fucked. I think it still stems from, like, them, you know, the whole thing with back in the day with, like, Zack Snyder. Like, they could have, who knows, you know. I mean, the Justice League Snyder cut's, like, okay, but it's still, like, essentially, like, the same movie. I don't know, like, this whole series has been, like, fucked from the start, essentially.
I mean, again, I liked Man of Steel, and I think Man of Steel would have been a good launching point, but once you got into, like, Batman versus Superman, which was a total fucking mess, it's like, that's when it was like, some of it might be Zack Snyder's fault, some of it I think is Warner Brother and DC's fault, but you could tell, ultimately at the end of the day, nobody knew what the fuck to do with this series.
Yeah.
And by the way, I didn't even bother with the second Aquaman movie, which I know is the last of this series.
That's supposed to be the last. Yeah, I don't know. And even with fucking that movie, apparently Ben Affleck was supposed to be in it. Then he wasn't supposed to be in it. Then they put Michael Keaton. They shot film stuff with Michael Keaton. Then Michael Keaton got taken out, and then there's no Batman. So I don't know. Like it just seems like it's just like a chicken without a head. I don't think if people who haven't seen this movie, they probably see it for Keaton, but just know that the movie was a little schlocky, bit too frumpy, just messy. Characters, I know you said the one character when they're in the beginning with those characters, like his roommates, they weren't really in there for like a long time, but the writing...
I forgot to mention, I wanted to torture his the alternate universe Barry's roommates because they were so fucking annoying, and I know I can be annoying sometimes, but I hope I'm not as bad as those fucking guys, because I was like, okay, I hope that when Zod invades this version of Earth, you're like one of the first fucking people to die. Especially the guy on the couch with the fucking Eric Stoltz tattoo on his leg. I was like, oh, shut the fuck up.
I don't know. If I had to rate this movie, I'd probably give it out like a 4 out of 10.
Okay, I don't really give ratings.
Me neither.
Well, you just did.
No, yeah, but I just, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else to say about this movie. Check it out of curiosity if you haven't seen it, but...
You're not missing much if you have. I mean, it's up to you.